Hi, I am Dr. Angela Cotellessa, and this talk is about polymathy. And most of you are probably thinking, poly what? Math? Is this a math talk about mathematics? This is really about a modality to think outside the box. So first, a little bit of context. So I think you all would agree that it's great to be open-minded, right? To think outside the box. It sounds like a good thing to do. The thing is, we live in a society and in a context where we specialize and we become expert usually in one thing, and so we go put ourselves into a box. So we actually are narrow and focused because that's the dominant ideology that we live in that says in order to be successful you need to specialize. So the conditions that we exist in actually encourage us to go in a box, even though we aspire to think outside of the box. Creativity people here, of course, you want to think outside the box, right? So this is this conundrum we're in. How can we think outside the box if we keep putting ourselves in boxes? Here's where polymathy comes in. What does this word mean? Okay, let me address that first. So poly, as you probably know, means many. And the mathy part comes from the Greek manthenin, which means learning or to learn. So it's basically many learnings. And the way to think of it is these are people that are not narrow specialists professionally. They have expertise across disciplines professionally, and in their avocations as well, they may have a breadth of skills and exposure and expertise in their avocations or their hobbies. This relates to creativity because it's a way of kind of having more tools in your toolkit to be creative. And I wrote my doctoral dissertation entirely on polymathy and the experience of modern day polymaths. So other words for polymaths. Renaissance man or woman, that's what probably a lot of you may use to describe the idea that I'm talking about today. Jack of all trades, multidisciplinary scholars, polyhistor. These are individuals with high interpersonal diversity. Multi-potentialite is a word sort of in popular culture. Emily Wapnick. These people are more generalists than specialists. Orthogonal thinkers, protean men and women, homo universalis, and people with multi-creative potential. Here are a couple examples. Of course, any talk about a Renaissance man or woman or polymathy would not be complete without talking about Leonardo da Vinci. He was a painter, sculptor, musician, mathematician, engineer, architect, inventor, anatomist, geologist, cartographer, botanist, and author. So he definitely was not a specialist. He was a great polymath. Benjamin Franklin here, inventor. He invented bifocals and the urinary catheter. He was a scientist and an avid chess player. He studied electricity. He was a statesman, of course, and a public intellectual. So these are people who chose to be very, very broad in their approach to life and to study and learning, about the planet and the world that we live in. But sadly, we live in an age of specialization. The dominant ideology says, if you want to be successful, specialize. Become expert in one thing, not two or three things, just one. And, if you want to have, a bunch of hobbies or whatever, that's fine. But in your profession, specialize. And even, when people apply for jobs, they frequently will edit and filter things off their resumes just to tell a story of specialization. So you're not even able to really bring your full self to work. You have to edit and censor yourself in order to fit the dominant ideology. And I actually use a word that's very strong when I describe how organizations look at polymaths. I say they discriminate against polymaths because that's exactly what they do. They usually don't want polymaths in there at all, which is really a lost opportunity. Having studied polymaths, I know that they are highly capable, creative, big picture thinkers, and the fact that organizations don't appreciate them, don't even think about them. It's just such a lost opportunity. Organizations don't know how to attract. They don't know how to place. They don't know how to retain. They don't know how to develop polymathic potential. And when we have very difficult problems to solve, this is exactly where polymaths have a superpower. Polymaths do very well in VUCA environments, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. They are great at solving wicked problems, that's another way of saying it, or being in harsh learning environments. If you've got a simple problem or just need routine work done, specialists are great for that. But where you have large, big problems, this is where polymaths really could take humanity to the next level. But most people don't even know the word, and they don't even think about it. So this is the problem. So what does the literature say about polymathy? And I just want to point out there are a couple people in the room, eminent scholars, Robert Root Bernstein and his wife Michelle Root Bernstein, Michael Araki. These are leading thinkers in the field right here in the room with you. But let's take a look at these quotes. Robert Root Bernstein said, creative people are more broadly trained, have more avocational interests, and show increased abilities in those interests than the average person. Creativity scholars refer to polymaths as being highly creative people. The big five trait of openness to experience has been theoretically and empirically defined as a general disposition for creativity. The problem with deep specialization is that those specialists may get entrenched in their own limited points of view, which negatively impacts creativity and innovation. And I want to talk a bit about intrapersonal diversity, this term interpersonal diversity. So Gunderson and Sutcliffe found that people with functional intrapersonal diversity, which means professionally they had worked in different domains and fields, helped their teams be more effective. They had more tools in their toolkit, they had broader experiences to help their teams do better. Now, interpersonal diversity, I sort of equate with polymathy. We talk about diversity at the macro level, at the meso level. I'm talking about at the micro level. You as a person can be diverse. You can be part of a group that's diverse as well, but you can be diverse yourself by being a polymath. This is found actually in the gut microbiome was the first time that I found that interpersonal diversity was used. People with high intrapersonal diversity in their gut microbiome are healthier. And how might that apply to our social worlds, to our professional worlds? If you are more interpersonally diverse, if you have more tools in your toolkit, how will that affect your health and your ability to do well professionally and otherwise? So interpersonal diversity is something I want you to take away from this talk so that you think about that and you think, hopefully you agree that diversity can exist at the individual micro level as well as in groups. All right, benefits of polymathy for creativity. So I did research, I did qualitative research, phenomenology, for my dissertation, which is here if anyone wants to flip through. 12 out of 13 of my interviewees said that they believe their polymathy makes them more creative or better at problem solving. And I have plenty of quotes to back that up, but trust me, that's how they felt about themselves. Most participants reported that what they do best as a polymath is actually precisely creative problem solving. Polymaths are particularly suited to solve complex multidimensional challenges, as I mentioned. And this toolkit idea, it's a recurring theme. Having a large toolkit or a broader lens helps you to understand multiple points of view and to help solve problems creatively. So instead of knowledge being sequestered by specialists in silos, generalist learners like polymaths can make connections and seek synthesis, build bridges, and create innovations. And that's really the polymath superpower. A few more direct quotes, or some direct quotes, sorry. My brain connects everything to everything else. No matter what I'm doing, I will make some kind of connection with it to something else. I can see connections, everything is connected. My I am good at connecting lots of dots and saying, given all these things, this is really what all these things are telling us. For me, creativity is the whole point of recombining existing concepts, taking existing knowledge but finding a new combination between it. Having knowledge of as many different concepts, ideas, things in your head is the best base of actually creating something new. For me, it's the essence to be creative, to have all these multiple interests and be widely interested in everything. So, again, being able to do analogical thinking, taking lessons and tools and approaches from one domain and applying them elsewhere, is a way to come up with creative solutions, and that's what Polymathy is. That's what Polymathy allows for. So, you all obviously care about creativity. Maybe you want to become more polymathic yourself. Maybe you already are, and you didn't even know it, or you didn't know the word. Or maybe you want to help other people in your life to become more intrapersonally diverse. So here are some ideas about how you might do that. It starts with just being open. Having a fundamental openness to how you live and work and spend your life. Try new things. Be willing to get out of the box, out of your comfort zone. Be curious. Curiosity is a true hallmark of polymaths. Be a self-directed, lifelong learner. Self-directed learning was a big part of my dissertation. No one is going to tell you exactly every little thing to learn in life, every little thing to try. You get to decide what interests you and to follow those rabbit holes and those paths. Read. I didn't ask a single question in my interviews about reading, but so many of my participants talked about reading as an avenue to get information, learn more. It makes sense. Have hobbies or jobs across disciplines. A polymath would not have one career path and just stay in that box forever. So if you want to be polymathic, take a leap of faith and go try something new. Don't specialize in only one field. And then analogical thinking. Apply lessons from one domain to others. So integration across those disciplinary boundaries. So I will end with this thought that just break out of the box. Society tells you get in that box. I encourage you to say, no, I'm not going to get in the box. Unless you really want to. Some people might like being in the box. That's okay too. Lastly, if you would like to read my dissertation, you can go to my website, lessoncollector.com, and it's available for free there. And if you're on Facebook, I've got a group called Polymath's Place. I think we've got maybe 2 minutes if there's, one other thing. I brought a couple of recent books up here if you'd like to see. Saturday at 10:15, Michael's got an individual talk on polymathy, and then there's going to be a panel Saturday at 1 on this subject.
Panel first.
Sorry. I said it backwards.
Okay.
Okay, but Saturday, just check us out Saturday. All right, I guess I probably have time for like 1 or 2 or 3 questions. Real quick, yes.
This terminology is new to me, but I'm familiar with the concept that was made famous. I'm sure they didn't invent it by the big design group IDEO. The founder has a concept called celebrating T-shaped people.
Yeah.
And
Or eyes.
Well, the T being that they have a depth of knowledge across in one discipline and a breadth among others. Does polymathy have any conceptualization of the depth of knowledge or experience in any of these areas, or can you be more of an expert in one and have a light version of another? I'm not sure.
I would say that to be a polymath, you have to have both breadth and depth. You can't like dabble and like try something once. But I will say that anyone can become more polymathic. When you think of Da Vinci or any of the great polymaths, we're all not going to have that sort of story in our lives. But anyone can move in that direction. Anyone can be open and become more polymathic in their approach to life. But yeah, breadth and depth and integration also would be part of the defining a polymath. Is there time for one more? Oh, okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming.